EMZT Radio is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audio download and a free 30-day trial at audibletrial.com/EMZT. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Welcome to another episode of EMZT Radio. I'm Bane Hellborn with my sister,
Scorpio Girl.
And the Sinister Sisters are taking over the podcast this week because the infamous MJ is in Hurricane Central down in South Carolina. He's okay, he's safe, but his internet time is very, very limited because the power keeps going in and out. So, we're running the show.
Naturally.
Yeah.
As we usually do. I mean, not the show, but we kill it when we do our section.
Yeah. So, it looks like sci-fi and horror fans, have you been watching Comet TV? It's on a regular TV channel. They've been showcasing all the best 80s horror films, like a lot of B budget, like Video Dead, 1987.
I think they're all B movies though on Comet because they also edit the shit out of these.
Yeah, a lot of them are B movies, or there's Sleepwalkers.
I loved.
Yeah,
so funny. I just heard Johnny and Santos today playing. Mm-hmm. That is trippy, and how you go on sleep. Wow, that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
They've been.
That's a good movie though.
For the summer, it's been mostly monster summer thing because it's been mostly Godzilla.
Because the heat is a beast.
Yeah, it's been a lot of Godzilla movies all summer long.
Well, Godzilla is a classic,
and then there's a few other Japanese monster like Godzilla type films,
right?
And then now, because it's close to October, they're bringing out the 80s B-movie horrors.
They're bringing out the gold.
Yeah. But it also features shows like Outer Limits. You know, the new Outer Limits that was back in the 80s.
The new one, I loved. I lived for those as a kid.
The 90s. Actually, it was the 90s. But they also do the originals, too. But those are at late at night.
Yeah, I noticed that they'd be like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But the 90s Outer Limits were flipping insane. I remember being a kid watching them thinking, wow.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
And they also feature Stargate SG-1 and Andromeda, which are, they're okay. They're okay.
Meh, as Boom Doom would say.
Yeah.
Meh.
But they added for the weekends Space 1999. That's an ancient show, but back in I think that was in the early 80s, late 70s.
I have no clue.
But anyway, they just added that. So, Comet TV, they have comettv.com, and they're doing all sorts of B-movie horrors like the Video Dead. It's such a stupid film.
But you find yourself watching it.
You find yourself watching it because you're wondering, what the fuck are they doing? Like it was told, the guy told the teenage brother and sister that as long as they're around zombies, if they pretend to be happy, the zombies won't want to kill them.
Yeah, thanks for the spoiler alert.
Hey.
You just ruined it. Now why should I watch it?
You weren't going to watch it anyway. It's a dumb movie.
I know, but seriously, on the spoiler alerts. Jeez. This is one thing I find about you, Bane. I don't need to watch movies.
Yeah, just talk to me.
You spoil it.
Just talk to me. So Thursday, September 13th, was Supernatural Day. And I was dressed in my Sam and Dean shirt from one of the Always Keep Fighting campaigns they did of Moose and Squirrel. And I wore my Samulet all day.
Aww.
Of course, it's nationally known with the Supernatural fans, but it's not on regular calendars. It's on the Supernatural calendars to let us know.
Oh, yeah, because we always
right
buy the Supernatural calendars.
We do.
We're talking about actual real calendars you put on a wall.
Yeah.
People, we're getting old school on you right now.
Yeah. We also have a EMZT radio fan from the UK who is helping us, too, with our Sinister Sister segment.
Mr. UK.
Mr. UK.
Yeah.
We talk about British serial killers.
Yes, in honor of him coming all the way across the pond.
Yeah.
In honor, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting. I feel it was a very good discussion as far as debates and thought processes and inquiries.
Definitely. And hearing the UK side of how they deal with police procedures.
Yes.
And what they're
the cultural differences was nice to talk about,
and they're
too.
thinking of the law process. Oh, yeah. It was great.
Yeah, it's a listen.
It's a listen. And Boom Doom, on his own, did a creepy minis. He read a creepypasta, which was nice.
That's his thing right now, is those creepypastas.
He likes to read the stories.
Aww.
He just has a little trouble with some of the big words.
Oh, stop.
But it's okay. He's working on it. So, Sinister Sisters have the show right now. Let's get to some music. It's EMZT Radio.
What they see. Nothing but a bunch of beggars, liars, and thieves. Nothing but a bunch of witches, jokers, and fools. And nothing but a bunch of monsters, goblins, and ghouls. So now we're here to clear up all misconceptions. Everybody thinks that we want to commit crimes. All we want is to have a good time. So now we're here to clear up all misconceptions. When we look in mirror, we see purest reflections. La 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 la. But I'm here to say we are not evil at all. We're just good. misconceptions. When we look in mirror, we see purest reflections. La 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 la. But I'm here to say we are not evil at all. Now we're here to clear up all these misconceptions. When we look in mirror, we see purest reflections. La 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 la. I know when they look at us, what they see is so broken. But I'm here to say we are not evil at all. We're just good looking.
You girls watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
You love midnight movies, don't you? But can you handle midnight movies 24 hours a day?
Your death will be indescribable.
Find out on Black Flag TV. The first viral television on the web. Black Flag TV is entirely dedicated to haunting horror, science fiction, and cult movies. Broadcasting live 24 hours a day, obscure independent movies and classic horror. Make Black Flag TV your sanctuary for the horror genre.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Visit us now, blackflag.tv.
Hey everyone, this is Bowmine Bob from Bowling with Bobcat. You can listen to me live every Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern at sfdradio.com, where I'm bringing you the best of the worst in cheap booze, talking bum wine, beers, 40s, malt liquor, and more. Always featuring the latest and greatest in the world of drinking and entertainment, along with some special guests. So come on down and take a ride with Bumwine Bob. If you can't be there live, you can always listen in the archives at bumwinebob.com. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, and enjoy. Cheers.
You look afraid. I would be afraid. For what? This is a dream. I wouldn't want to wake up from this dream, but you must.
This is EMZT Radio. Come and let your ears bleed.
And if you can give to help the people of Florence and South Carolina, they are needing food, clothes, money, water. I've got a list of where you can give. HarvestHope.org is a food bank that usually has food for any sort of disaster relief or people who need food in general. So be sure to check that out. They're part of Feeding America, so they're always trying to help people with the food. They say usually the fall is like their low time and they don't have enough food, and especially now with the floods going on, they need help getting food to the people who need it. So harvesthope.org, redcross.org/hurricane/Florence. If you give donations to them, Google will match donation funds up to $1 million. That will really help a lot of people who have lost everything and need something just to survive the storm. And hopefully it'll help them get back on their feet after the storm is past. give.helpsalvationarmy.org/disaster/relief. Salvation Army is always helping for disaster relief. They provide all the necessary things that people need in disasters, blankets, food, water, and temporary shelters that they help set up if people have lost their homes. So be sure to check that out too. allhandsandhearts.org/programs/hurricane-Florence-relief. It's an organization that uses volunteers and community efforts to help those affected by natural disasters. What they do is they bring in chainsaw, debris removal, mold sanitation teams to help start cleanup, to get the community cleaned up a bit from the disaster, and people can go back to their normal lives this way. Be sure to check that out. American Red Cross is also needing people to donate blood. in case people have been hurt, which in these storms, people have been hurt and need help. So you can go to redcross.org or call 1-800-733-2767 to find out how to donate money. And you can even use the Red Cross app to make your donations too. CharlestonAnimalSociety.org. They help evacuate pets, and they offer advice, and they help evacuate pets. So they also have a Facebook page where you can find emergency pet shelters that they're helping families with their pets. Diaper Bank of North Carolina is collecting money and diapers. They're aiming to supply diapers, feminine hygiene products, and adult incontinence supplies for the Hurricane Florence victims. ncdiaperbank.org is where you can contact them to donate money so they can buy the necessary supplies needed. globalgiving.org/projects/hurricane-Florence-relief-fund. They have set a $5 million goal to fundraise for the Hurricane Florence relief efforts. They're wanting to build enough funds to start on the long-term recovery to help the residents recover and rebuild what they lost from the storm. There's also a second harvest, metrolina.org/donation. It's another food bank. It supplies food and groceries across 19 counties in North and South Carolina. Do help them out to get people the food that they need. unitedway.org/recovery/hurricane-Florence. They have started a recovery fund so they can help the community with shelter, food, water, recovery support, and other basic needs before, during, and after disasters. Check that out. And if you didn't like any of those, just Google a list of how to help Hurricane Florence relief.
Sons of the Pharaoh! Give me frogs, flies, locusts, anything but you. Compared to you, the other plagues were a joy.
welcome to a EMZT Radio Minis. I am your host, Boom Doom, and I am going to be reading the creepypasta Expressionless. Before I get started, I read over this pretty good story. The Expressionless is a strange creepypasta story written by Ivisor. In June of 1972, a woman appeared in Cedar Sinai Hospital in nothing but a white gown covered in blood. Now, this in itself should not be too surprising, as people often have accidents nearby and come to the nearest hospital for medical attention. But there were two things that caused people who saw her to vomit and flee in terror. The first beginning that she wasn't exactly human. She resembled something close to a mannequin, but had the dexterity and fluidity of a normal human being. Her face was as flawless as a mannequin's, devoid of her eyebrows and smeared in makeup. She had a kitten clutched between her teeth, her jaw clamped so unnaturally tightly around it to the point where there were no teeth could be seen. The blood was still squirting out over her gown and onto the floor. She then pulled it out of her mouth, tossed it aside, and collapsed. From the moment she stepped through the entrance to when she was taken to a hospital room and cleaned up before being prepared for sedation, she was completely calm, expressionless, and motionless. The doctor had thought it was best to restrain her until the authorities could arrive, and she did not protest. They were unable to get any kind of response from her, and most staff members felt too uncomfortable to look directly at her for more than a few seconds. But the second the staff tried to sedate her, she fought back with extreme force. Two members of the staff holding her down as her body rose up from the bed with the same blank expression. She turned her motionless eyes towards the male doctor and did something unusual. She smiled as she did. The female doctor screamed and let go out of shock. In the woman's mouth were not human teeth, but long, sharp spikes. Too long for her mouth to close fully without causing any damage. The male doctor stared back at her for a moment before asking, "What in the hell are you?" She cracked her neck down to her shoulders to observe him, still smiling. There was a long pause. The security had been alerted and could be heard coming down the hallway. As he heard them, she darted forward, sinking her teeth into the front of his throat, ripping out his jugular and letting him fall to the floor, gasping for air as he choked on his own blood. She stood up and leaned over him, her face coming dangerously close to his as the life faded from his eyes. The doctor's eyes filled with terror as he watched her calmly walk through to greet the security men. His last ever sight would be watching her feast on them one by one. The female doctor who survived the incident named her the Expressionless. There was never a sight of her again.
Smoke? Nah. You know, those things will kill you.
Yeah. You want to live forever?
EMZT Radio is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/EMZT. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. For you, the listeners of EMZT Radio Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. That's audibletrial.com/EMZT.
Chronicity, a state of prolonged duration, recurrent, Habitual, Chronic.
A new miniseries on chronic pain and illness by your friends Matt and Phil from Semi-Intellectual Musings.
We go beyond medical diagnosis to explore the often forgotten political, social, and personal sides.
You'll hear stories from extraordinary people overcoming extraordinary challenges.
Authors, entrepreneurs, volunteers, coaches, and caregivers.
They are so much more than their diagnoses, yet each have found ways to persevere.
You'll also hear some familiar voices from the indie podcast community,
showing that art, creativity, and passion are possible while living in chronicity.
These stories and more, starting April 1st at thesim.podbean.com.
Hey, this is Karen Stever, and you are listening to EMZT Radio.
A gold streak of brilliance. Why should we see the grayness of skies, leaving our haven for a few extra shillings? The old Brothers Grimm comes to mind, where the fisherman follows his wife. From a backseat positions, like watching a top spin out gold streak of brilliance. Such a gold streak of brilliance.
Is that me gold?
What the hell are you?
I'm a leprechaun, me dear.
Hi everybody, Miss Starling here for Starling's All-American Lamb Chops. Have you thought about dinner tonight? I know I have. Usually, it's some cow, there's some chicken, and some pig roaming around somewhere. Well, have you thought about lamb? Lamb is all natural, it's all great. And plus, it ain't that bad for the environment like them nasty cows and them nasty pigs. Starling's All-American Lamb Chops, made right here in our farms in West Virginia. And you can't get any better grass-fed lamb than what you see in the stores. Remember, it's got to have the name Starling written on it for it to be high quality. That's right. We only ship the highest quality lamb meat all around these great United States. God bless America. I sure do love it. That's Starling's All-American Lamb Chops. It's guaranteed to make you scream for more.
Why couldn't the ghost get his girlfriend pregnant? 'Cause he had a Halloweenie.
From dreadcentral.com, authorities say Jason Voorhees statue at the bottom of Lake Pleasant's got to go. Lake Pleasant is in Peoria, Arizona. Remember last February when it was reported a Jason Voorhees statue had been planted at the bottom of a lake in Minnesota? It was placed in a popular diving area by some intrepid Friday the 13th fans in 2013. The idea must have caught on because it inspired divers in Arizona to plant their own Voorhees replica at the bottom of Lake Pleasant back in May of this year. The folks in Arizona, however, have taken a tip from the folks in Minnesota and kept the exact location of their Jason statue a secret. Unfortunately, the authorities are saying that the Jason in Lake Pleasant, along with a number of other oddities, will have to be removed. Quote, after recently viewing a Reddit thread and a YouTube video of a couple of divers interacting with the Voorhees statue, parks officials are working to retrieve the likeness of the movie murderer and possibly other items placed underwater by members of the diving group. We really have to be mindful and respectful of nature, said David Jordan, Lake Pleasant Regional Parks supervisor. That's one of our biggest things, end quote. In addition to Jason, items planted in Lake Pleasant, including several skeletons and a Christmas tree, the statue's creator, Zachary Nagy, a diver and member of a public Arizona scuba enthusiast Facebook group, claims the underwater items are used as markers and should be allowed to remain. He put Jason in the lake back on May 19th. For anyone else planning to plant a Jason Voorhees statue at the bottom of a lake, let this be a lesson to you. Don't do it or don't tell. And follow up to that story, azcentral.com, parks officials, Friday the 13th statue, skeletons under Lake Pleasant have to go. For at least several months, members of a local scuba diving group have been putting a variety of large, unusual items at the bottom of Lake Pleasant that are used during dives. The items include several prop skeletons, a Jason Voorhees statue, Christmas trees, a poker table, and even a Volkswagen, according to members of the group. The Voorhees statue, an eerie replica of the hockey mask Friday the 13th antagonist, recently raised eyebrows and garnered attention on social media within the Arizona Reddit community. Zachary Nagy, a diver and member of Public Arizona Scuba Divers Facebook group, said the unusual items are typically used as underwater markers by divers and are treated as personal projects. Quote, almost everyone who dives at Lake Pleasant knows about it, end quote, he said. Maricopa County Parks officials who oversee the popular lake northwest of Phoenix apparently didn't. After recently reviewing the Reddit thread and a YouTube video of a couple of divers interacting with Voorhees' statue, parks officials are working to retrieve the likeness of the movie murderer and possibly other items placed underwater by members of the diving group. Quote, we have to be mindful and respectful of nature, end quote, said David Jordan, Lake Pleasant Regional Park Supervisor. Quote, that's one of our biggest things, end quote. Okay, I personally think it's a cool idea, but number one, I'm sorry, you divers, you Arizona divers, you kind of screwed up. It's in a park, a county-run state park. It's not a public place. So I sort of understand where they're coming at because it's a park. It's a regional park area. It's not public land. It's owned by the county, state, whatever. But I think the idea is a cool idea, but it needs to be in a public area. If it was in a public area or a public lake, it would have been fine. So I can see both sides. I mean, the place, Lake Pleasant, is a diving area, but it's not in public land. So that's where you kind of screwed up, people. And according to the park's administration, everything is considered trash and litter. I do understand using those to see because visibility, it sounds like visibility is pretty bad in that lake. Or there's not much to see. It's boring. I get it. No, I get it. I think it's a great idea. But if it was a public lake, no problems. Maybe. Other than they're not horror fans and nobody has a sense of humor. So because of this, unfortunately, Nagy, he's going to be guilty of a Class 2 misdemeanor. So he'll either have to pay a fine or he's going to be permanently banned from the park. So I'm sorry. I personally would love to see a Jason statue at the bottom of the lake where I live because I'm in Arizona too. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a fucking great idea. It's awesome, but it scared the shit out of people. That's great. But you didn't do it in public area, so I am so sorry. I have to side with the authorities on this one, but I can see both sides. You did great trying to jazz up the place for divers, but you screwed up by not getting permission from the park. So you divers should find a public lake and put Jason there. Don't let them trash it. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. And you are listening to EMZT Radio.
Well, you people should stay up late.
We keep odd hours.
Our eyes meet across a crowded room.
right there. Did you hear anything?
Wait. I see people coming out of the mall. I'm gonna go check it out.
Officer! Officer!
Is anyone hurt?
The people in the mall, they've gone crazy.
Freeze!
No!
Put your weapon down and get on the ground.
No, I can't. The people behind me, they're infected with something.
Becca, you're breaking up.
Put the gun down.
We have to run.
Are you there?
I said stay where you are.
No.
Becca,
we gotta go. Watch out! Behind you!
What? Get out! Get off me! Get it off me!
Hold it still!
Becca!
I told you, we have to get out of here.
What the hell's wrong with those people?
Look, you can either follow me or shoot me, but I'm not staying here.
Where to then?
Behind that dumpster, for now. Can you make it?
Don't worry about me.
Okay. I think we're safe. But probably just for a moment.
What just happened?
I was opening up my office in the mall when I heard gunshots near the bank. I came out, and there was a rush of people being chased by those dead things. At first, I thought it was, some sort of a gang fight or something. But then the attackers were... they were ripping them limb from limb and biting and chewing them. I just ran. I shot any of the things that got in my way, but they don't die when you shoot them. They don't die.
This can't be happening.
But it is. These people, they're dead, but they're still walking.
I don't think that...
I know, it's crazy, right? But look at that guy over there in the green jacket. I know him. Look, he's missing his insides. And he's still walking.
Look at them. They don't seem to be very smart. That bunch is still around my car.
Well, they seem to be attracted to noise.
We can't just keep trying to dodge them.
God, I didn't realize there'd be so many of them out here.
We're gonna need a plan.
I'm open to suggestions.
If a lot ran outside, then maybe there are fewer inside now.
You're probably right.
But there's still a group of them near the main entrance. We could fire a couple of shots, but that would just attract them directly to us.
Then we just make a run for the mall and shut the doors. Wait for the National Guard or something.
No, we need to draw them somewhere else. Okay, I think I can get us a diversion.
Who are you calling?
My car.
Your car? What for?
Hello, you have reached PATTI, the Command Control Unit for Patrol Car 18.
Car, activate code 3 status.
Activating code 3.
And that provides our distraction.
Oh, I get it.
We'll just give the slower ones a chance to get over there.
Okay, now?
Not yet. Another second.
Now?
Now!
You think this will be enough to hold all those things out there?
Yeah. As long as we don't give them a reason to come in here. So, let's get away from the doors.
We should probably head to the security station. Come on.
There still have to be more of those dead things in here somewhere. Do you know your way around the mall?
I better. I own the place.
The clock strikes 12 again. We rise, twilight in our eyes, casting shadows on the walls. We dance as the moonlight calls, spirits burning bright with life. We rise, children of the night, set free for a moment's time. We dance as the stars align. From lonely worlds apart, we join tonight. Through ghostly light, my love, we come alive. Though we only have the night, this is our time. Hold fast to our memory, don't let it die. When the dawn lights up the sky, we'll sleep, night swept from our eyes. Sunlight climbing up the walls brings day to the empty halls. Life is such a precious thing. Take flight, set your senses free. Soaring, lighting skies a wing. Beauty, immortality. From lonely worlds apart, we join tonight. Through ghostly light, my love, we come alive. Though we only have the night, this is our time. Hold fast to our memory, don't let us die. Call from lonely worlds apart, we join tonight. Through ghostly light, my love, we come alive. Though we only have the night, this is our time. Hold fast to our memory, don't let us die, don't let us die.
You are now listening to EMZT Radio. Sinister Sisters.
Welcome to another Sinister Sisters. I'm Bane Hellborn with my sister,
Scorpio Girl,
and special guest, Mr. UK, who is an actual EMZT Radio fan from the UK.
Hey. How are you doing?
You sounded really American then.
I wonder why.
He's been here, what, is it now week 2?
Yeah, a week and a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Love
So-
it. It's slice of heaven, trust me. Anybody that's thinking of coming out from the UK, do it. Don't hesitate. Certainly in the quieter parts as well, like America, like this is, yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Well, in lieu of Mr. UK visiting, we decided to talk about
British serial killers.
That's such a Sinister Sister thing.
Yeah. So we picked a couple to talk about, and we're starting off with Dennis Nilsen, Mr. UK's pick.
Otherwise known as the Muswell Hill murderer, due to the fact that in London there's a suburb or a part of North London called Muswell Hill. Highgate Cemetery is just around the corner as well, which is also quite a salient kind of point, you know. But yeah, he was known as the Muswell Hill murderer. And I didn't know, actually, investigating this, that he was Scottish. I actually thought he was English, but...
Well, because he lived in the north,
right,
but he's from Scotland, which is an interesting fact.
Right. Yeah, totally.
Okay, go ahead. What do you have?
Well, I mean, researching, I mean, there's some bits that I already knew, but I sort of looked around and dug around and found some other bits. I didn't realise he was alive till sort of the middle of this year, 2018. He died on the 12th of May. I thought he died much before that.
And he was 72 years old.
And he made it to 72.
So I think he spent something like 30 years or something in jail. One of them being a high risk, high security maximum. And as I said earlier on, when we were talking about this in the notes, as it were, after that, once you get to 65 or 70, you're not really deemed that much of a problem. So they ship you out to what's called a lower secure kind of unit. But yeah, he spent the rest of his life in jail. So now we know that he's murdered at least 12 young men in a 5-year period. So that's quite a lot.
Yeah, from 1978 to 1983.
Right. So in a 5-year period, he's done, 12 that we know of.
Yeah.
There could be more somewhere.
Well, it's said in one of the websites that he might have made some up just to make him sound good.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's listed as one of Britain's most infamous serial killers.
Yeah.
Well, look at who his victims were, though.
Right.
Yes, because
Homeless
they were
and
mostly homeless, homosexual, or young men found in a pub.
Do you think the fact that he was gay kind of meant that he was, he was going for a certain demographic, or do you think if he wasn't, would he have gone for women as well? Because it was all predominantly men.
That's hard to judge.
Yeah, that's hard to judge because what we had talked about earlier was that he was trying to pick an easier target to deal with.
Well, people that would be easily sort of seduced into his kind of,
Yeah,
they said he was very manipulative when he was doing
and
it.
so he could speak something that would entice them to go with them.
Right.
Yeah. And
and he seemed to be picking on people that were down on the luck, homeless.
Yeah.
You get somebody coming up you think is a guardian angel, you're going to kind of go for it, aren't you?
Yeah, well, sort of Jack the Ripper-ish, isn't it?
Kind of.
Because he picked women who lived on the streets.
Right, yeah.
And worked on the streets.
Totally.
Yeah. So, and the interesting way he got rid of his victims, well, actually, he kept them for a while because he was also a necrophiliac.
Yeah, right.
He would, after he killed them, he would bathe them, dress them, and keep them for a while to play with.
And get them to look really, really nice as well. Like, not just dress them up, but actually get them to... he was lonely, right?
Yes.
Right.
So, but I still think it's really strange. I think that's kind of stranger, actually, than... I mean, all right, the killing's one thing, that's that. And the disposing of them, that's that. That's kind of a logical conclusion. But dressing them up and having them by his dinner table when he's, like, eating a glass of wine, has his meal, talks to them.
Yeah.
Hey, you're not very talkative tonight,
Well,
are you?
it sounded like he wanted them to stay, and when they were alive, they wouldn't want to stay.
I think that was what the documentary years ago on the BBC.
So this way, to have the corpses around for as long as he did, one was up to a year before he got rid of them.
Wow,
and
that's impressive.
And
stink of that.
Well, like I think that he goes nose blind after a while. Yeah.
That is a common thing, though.
Yeah, after a while, the smell.
Oh, yeah.
So you just become acclimatized to the smell.
Yeah, and then other people are like, "What is that smell?" He's like, "What smell? I don't smell nothing."
Well, the neighbours were complaining for like years.
Yes,
because he lived in like in London. It's not like here in America, in the US. In London, we have like what we call terraced houses, so they're all kind of together. There's no kind of separation. They're all jumped together, and they can be quite tall. Like where I live, there's 3 floors. So he was living right at the top. And sort of flushing things down the toilet.
Yeah.
And it was getting cool.
And that's how he got caught.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's how he got... And it was completely by chance.
But at first...
Because he was flushing the parts down the...
But it sounded like he was also burning some of them, so that evidence wasn't found. But it was the flushed ones that were found.
I mean, to cut people up is not an easy thing to do. I mean, the body is really quite difficult.
Oh, and to cut through bone. You would need a surgical hacksaw or a hacksaw in general.
Or, unless you're going to do them, as you see in some films, in acid.
Which he probably didn't have access to back then.
I mean, he's in a small little flat at the top floor, so on the 3rd floor of this, flat that he was in.
Yeah.
Really dingy by all accounts. He led a real sort of hermetic life, really. But kept a job. He had a job. These people have jobs.
Yeah, he was like, what was he, a civil servant?
No. Yeah, I think he was a civil servant. I think he worked for a local government.
And it's the kind that they're like, he's really quiet, kept to himself, was really nice.
Right. Always tipped his hat, took the dog for a walk, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's always the quiet ones.
Got to scratch beneath the surface, right? But he got convicted of 6 counts of murder, and 2 attempted.
Yes.
And in England we have a really high court, which is called the Old Bailey. That's where the really, really big cases go. There are other courts around London and in the rest of the country, but the Old Bailey is the big one. That's where these kind of big cases, where you're going to get like serious time for what you've done. And high profile cases, which these ones normally are, because it's great for papers, isn't it? So it's copy.
Right. And he was caught by accident because somebody checked the drains.
No, there was a clog. They were being clogged.
But they were checking the drains to see what was clogging it, and they found body parts.
I heard
and organs.
Well, I heard in this documentary that when the police and the sewage workers came to open the drain, 3 policemen fainted with the stench of it.
Oh, yeah.
How bad it was.
Well,
Over a 5-year
also,
period? Yeah.
But he also kept body parts in his cupboards. So
well, he
when
also
the
dumped
police,
a lot of them first too.
Yeah, I mean, he was very I don't think he had or maybe he had a code of ethic with these, but some he kept around, others he just flushed them away. So you were saying about burning them?
He burned some remains in a bonfire.
Yeah, but he kept some under floorboards. He kept some in cupboards. There was but he said, when he was asked by the police about the bodies, Nielsen said, they're all gone, but I still feel a spiritual commune with them.
Wow.
But yet he wasn't very, timeline kind of thing with the bodies. It was like a definite emotional thing on his part.
Quite interesting as well, the fact that he kind of cut them up, which is all blood and gore. That wasn't how he killed them. It was by strangulation, mostly, and sometimes with drowning, which is quite kind of... All right, look, it's an odd way to die, but it's more benign than sort of being hacked to pieces sort of thing.
While they're alive, yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, if you... I don't know, strangulation.
Well, and what kind of person... can actually go that far.
Right.
Like, what is it that gets switched in the brain?
Now we're getting to the nub of it.
Yeah. What is that gets switched in his brain to be like, yeah, I'm just going to cut this body up? Or did he go through the first time of cutting it up and it just got easier for him?
Well, sure, over a 5-year period, I'm sure he honed his skills.
The psychological processing behind this is what intrigues me the most.
This is what we were talking about earlier on, wasn't it, Scorpio? That, you were saying, what is that trigger? I think the trigger is that's their normal state of mind. The other trigger, which is the abnormal, that we would call, is them going down to Sainsbury's or Walmart and getting their shopping. That's the thing where they're really out of sequence with what they're about. And this kind of killing is actually what they're about, if you see what I mean.
Wow, so they're faking...
It's switched.
See,
rather than the trigger being I'm going to kill someone, the trigger is I have to be really careful because I've got to go to Sainsbury's or the dentist.
But
also, you know what I mean?
Also during the late 70s and the early 80s, being homosexual still wasn't quite accepted, so he was probably self-loathing.
But in your country, was it still... Because over here, back in that time, it was... I think it was actually back in that time here... And I could be wrong, but I think you could get arrested for it.
Oh yeah, you could get done for sort of,
but
buggery was you could be sent to jail for that. I mean,
But mostly, what's a common thread that these people kill like that is because they hate their sexual preference. Like he was gay.
Sexuality.
He was gay and he knew it, but it was wrong. Back in the time, it was wrong to be gay.
Well, look at the years that he was operating, 78 to 83. In our country, so 81, 82, 83, 84, we had this big thing of age. What is it? We were shown gay guys in San Francisco getting these sarcomas on their faces.
Right.
Blotches.
We had that over
there
here
too. It was just like, whoa, what the frick is this?
Yeah.
What is this that's doing this? Oh, it's a gay disease, blah blah blah. Now we know differently.
Yes.
But also, I mean, to do that in those times, it's still sort of beggars belief, really, that people do it. I mean, the switch that, like you were saying, Scorpio and yourself, Ben. I mean, what is that flip?
Yeah,
I think it's reversed. I think everyday normal stuff for them is doing like that, and normal stuff where they have to be careful.
But apparently he got away with it for 5 years. Nobody caught him. That's just the weird part. 5 years.
Also, people sort of dropping hints that here, there's this guy that lives, Oh, and by the way, he did it in 2 different North London addresses.
Oh, yeah.
Not just one. So he obviously had somewhere else.
There was
maybe
also
first,
Melrose Avenue in North London.
That's the main one, I think.
And then the other one is, what do you
Cranley
say?
Gardens, was it?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I read that.
Cranley. So
Cricklewood?
No idea.
Cricklewood.
I thought they were both in Muswell Hill.
One says Cricklewood, the other says Muswell Hill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Cricklewood from Muswell Hill is kind of about. They're both in North London. One's north and one's northwest, but they're not far away.
Yeah.
And he was gay, so I'd imagine he was going to bars and clubs, and as you say, picking up hapless people that are just down on their luck. They're kind of easy targets, aren't they?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Because
someone shows you a little bit of love, and you haven't had that for ages.
Or
some attention, even not
a
even
little
love.
attention.
Yeah, hey, come here, I'll look after you for a night. Have a shower. I'll sleep here. You sleep there. At least you got
Yeah,
bed.
what homeless guy would say no to that? None. Especially look at this. Look, it's snowing. It's snowing in this picture.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all shocked by weather out here.
Yeah, we
see snow and we're just bonkers about it.
Because we don't get very much snow here.
We live in a fucking desert. What do you think?
Well, Flagstaff snows, and that's
Yeah,
well, that's
but we
mountains,
don't
okay.
live in Flagstaff, do
Yeah.
we? We live in the desert.
So yes, so he passed away this year. That's the weird part too. He made it to 72. Probably was well cared for.
Yeah, I mean, look, how much does that cost us, a prison system?
Yeah.
And there's 2 ways to look at that as well. Do you just throw away the key, or do you try to rehabilitate?
Well, with someone like that, I don't think you
I have a
could.
friend that's a clinical psychologist, a very close friend, and she's all about rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Because you've got to try to stop the social triggers and pressures that set that out. Some people flip a petrol station, don't they? Do you know what I mean?
I think for somebody, for somebody
It's no
like
real
this,
different, but only it's taken it to the nth degree.
for somebody like this, they might need a carer or somebody with a conscience to keep them on the
Well,
straight and
at least a carer
narrow.
with a suit of armour, maybe.
Yeah,
Just an
but
I was going to
if-
say
or
he's
superpower.
But,
quality.
very.
Someone like this, if they were rehabilitated, but they need to be watched because obviously he killed a bunch of people.
Yeah.
So,
But
that's
the thing.
to expect that the rehabilitation to kick in, a lot of the times, once these idiots taste blood, they're never going to stop.
I mean, that's human nature.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
anything and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, once they get a taste of killing and getting away with
but
it for a
that's
while.
the thing. I mean, they gave him life in prison. What else can you do with someone like this? You can't. I don't think there's such thing as rehabilitating.
Not completely. Not completely.
That itch is always going to be there. Someone who can
Well,
speak of certain experience, trying to stop anything.
But
Anything.
But that predicates that everybody's born evil, and generally you're not. Psychologists
Not-
will say it's about where you
I don't think it's born evil. More of the fact that it's like
product of the environment.
habits
and all that.
are hard to break.
When I talk-
Urges are hard to.
And we've discussed it, haven't we? Product of the environment, 0 to 10, 0 to sort of 12. The pre-teenage years are really, really important. How it formulates your kind of world ideas, how you fit within social structures, hierarchical stuff, class stuff,
Yeah.
But the thing we haven't touched on, or I haven't heard it, is the fact he was also a necrophiliac.
Oh right. Well, yeah. No, we did talk about it.
did
That he
we?
kept
Oh.
that he kept the bodies and played with them for a while.
I say played being
Played
sort
with
of-
them.
Well, the thing is that he, previous to doing this, has been known to have stated that even before, he definitely fantasized about having sexual encounters with unconscious people or dead bodies.
Yeah.
Like that was like a kink. That was his kink.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I when I read that, I was like, "Whoa, okay." So this was his kink. He likes
That was his shtick. That little
he
bit
likes
there,
the
that was his genre, as it were.
unconscious or.
Because they won't fight.
When it won't answer
They
back.
won't fight.
I think they would. I
mean, even look at him. He doesn't look like a killer, but he looks more like a rapist. Or,
I mean, no,
or a
to-
sexual predator is what he
to
looks
me,
like.
he definitely looks socially awkward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
he
that's
looks
a good
more
point,
like
yeah.
a rapist than a murderer.
Well, I mean, there's always going to be that fine line between anything and murder.
Looks
you
like one
know?
of my old teachers. But then you're going down that avenue of, you know, what do certain types of criminal, what do certain people in society look like? That whole thing of, you know, there was a report written saying, do good-looking criminals get lesser sentences or any sentence at all?
I remember
you know,
that.
Then they have to work out, if it's a woman, you have to put more women on the jury than men, because the men are going to be like, she's gorgeous, how could she do that? You know, in the same way, vice versa. My granddad always said that. He went to I haven't done any jury service, but my granddad did, and he said there was a woman that fell absolutely in love with this guy, and this guy had been wronged anyway, but whether it was right or wrong, she just fell for him straight away. So he was always going to be innocent in her eyes.
Right.
You know, so it's this whole thing of, do you get a lesser sentence, or are good-looking sort of criminals treated better than others? That's another discussion for another day.
Well,
I could answer that right now, but yeah, that would just be starting me on a roll.
I'm not sure on how the UK feels about death penalties.
Oh yeah, are you pro or?
Is the UK more pro, or are they more about rehabilitation, or, you know, keeping them locked up?
It keeps swinging. It keeps on swinging. Whenever there's a really, really awful mass killing, and it's obvious that someone has done it, like we've had quite a lot of recent terrorist sort of things happening, as you guys have, and they admit to it, there's this outcry again, listen, we really need to reform the capital punishment laws because it's difficult, isn't it? Being a liberal, really what you would call this country, being a liberal, more sort of left-leaning maybe, socially kind of inclusive as opposed to exclusive, I don't think it... Look, Gandhi once said, an eye for an eye makes the world blind. Do you want a blind world? Or do you want people with one eye trying to be rehabilitated?
My issue on this is I don't think there's any rehabilitating murderers or rapists or pedophiles. Seriously, my belief is I don't think there's any reforming. So what are you going to do with them?
It's not completely possible.
House them away from society for the rest of their life, or kill them. At this point in time, then we're coming to a fiscal kind of situation. But then we know now that prisons are all about.
So just to sort of, you know, bring it back on track, in this country, in the UK, we don't have a capital punishment system anymore. We do not kill people.
You got rid of it.
But we got rid of it, I think 20 odd years ago maybe.
Wow.
It's quite a while. I mean, I think the last person that was ever hung was a woman, and that's a really big case. I cannot remember her name. Ruth Ellis, who allegedly it was a crime of passion. But she was certainly the last female, and I think that was like 1950 something.
Oh, jeez.
It was in the 50s or maybe early 60s. It certainly wasn't any further than mid 60s. It was there. It swings, like I say. When you get a really bad atrocity, people clamour for it. What, you know, but we don't at the moment. No, but we did.
Did anybody research, or was there any information on his upbringing?
That was what I didn't. I'd like to know. Like, I still think it's.
I haven't been able to find anything about his upbringing, because that would also be an interesting debate. I do have an article here though about each person he killed and how he did it. Did we want to share that just in case?
We could go through. Yeah. Well,
Should we
why
pick
not?
one or two? Just to
Pick a couple just to get a good idea of what he was doing.
Malcolm Barlow was a 23-year-old man killed by Nielsen on September 8th, 1981.
18th.
Oops, what did I say?
8th.
1981, Nielsen ran into Barlow the previous day in an alley in a twisted act of kindness.
What we were saying about the guardian angel.
Nielsen helped Barlow get to the hospital, who was having a reaction to his medication.
Wow.
Once Barlow left the hospital, he went straight to Nielsen's house in order to thank him.
Right.
Instead, Nielsen fed him dinner and then strangled him to death. Since Nielsen had no more room under the floorboards for another body, he instead stashed Barlow's remains under his kitchen sink.
Wow. So where you put the cleaning products.
Yes.
Scrubbers and, toilet sort of stuff.
This one is Graham Allen was Nielsen's second last victim. He met Allen while hailing a cab and lured him to his home with the promise of a good meal and some good company.
Again, this dinner thing, you know what I mean? It's almost like having a date, isn't it?
Wine and dine and cannibalize.
Right? Exactly. Wine and dine and cannibalize. I like it.
Well, to finish Graham Allen's death, Nielsen cooked Allen an omelet and then strangled him with a ligature while he was eating.
Oh, made him choke too.
Allen's body then sat in Nielsen's bathtub for several days before dissecting him on the kitchen floor and sending his remains down the drain. After Nielsen's arrest, when the authorities tested the odd flesh and bone fragment that plugged up the drains, they found DNA evidence that matched Allen. But they're getting these stories directly from Nielsen because apparently when he was asked, it was just like, he woke up this morning and...
Yeah, people like
took
that,
a
once
piss.
they're caught, they want to tell their story.
Well, like I was saying as
Yeah.
well, that's an incredibly, for him, an incredibly normal day.
Yeah. Right.
The abnormal day, like I say, is going to the library to get books because that's like socially maybe strange for him. But actually, scratch that, he had a job.
Listen to this. Listen to what his jobs used to be. He was a former police officer in Aberdeenshire.
Yeah, Aberdeenshire, yeah.
A civil servant, and he also worked as a butcher. So that's why he knew how to cut up bodies.
Where we get it. Nice one.
He was described as the British Jeffrey Dahmer because he ate his victims.
But he was a butcher. There
But he
we
was a
go.
But
There was
former
no-
police
there was
officer,
no really switch on
but
that.
also former police officer, so he knew how to hide for 5
And
years.
he's a butcher, so he's not doing anything out untoward. It's a pig,
right.
it's a cow, it's a sheep, it's a
Right.
human. You do it the same way.
Yeah.
You lock the arms
Wow.
off, you lock there, you slit down. You would have made it. It's like...
So, when he was convicted of 6 counts, the murder, 2 attempted murder at the Old Bailey, jailed in 83, with a recommendation he serve a minimum of 25 years. Oh my God.
So if you got a long
Yeah.
sentence in the UK, say for instance you did like an 18, you're doing an 18 stretch. If you're a good behaviour and you go into programs where you try to get yourself better,
Well, yeah.
you're going to get a third off. If it's not murder, so you could go for an 18 stretch, you're probably coming out in 10 to 12.
Yeah.
Generally, you get that.
Or a really good one is at 6, 5 or 6.
Yeah. If you've got a 10-year sentence, yeah, but generally things like that you don't. Much the same as the Moors murderers did. I mean, you know.
Nice. So, this one says that he died in prison of natural causes because he was older.
Still frightening, though.
Yeah.
It's frightening that there are people out there that pose as, you know,
But this is why he was able to get away for 5 years. Former police officer butcher.
really knew how the system works.
Yeah.
Knew how to buck sort of trends and
Yeah.
cover his tracks really, really well.
But he wasn't that great of a plumbing engineer.
No, he just wasn't a very good partner to have either. You know.
Right.
Bit abusive, you know.
Right? You may be listening to music through headphones together, and the
Right.
next thing you're being strangled,
Right.
which is how his first victim died.
Yes.
They were over at his place, we're sharing a pair of headphones together, and next thing you know,
Oh, really?
Dennis strangling him and put him under the floorboards of his bedroom for like the next 7 months.
Yeah. Because he has to play with them.
Mm-hmm.
Life like dolls. All right. The British Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
Nice. Well, that wraps up another episode of EMZT Radio, Sinister Sisters style. Thank you, Scorpio Girl, for filling in for Matt.
Thank you, Bane, for allowing me this opportunity to get horrified.
Thank you to Mr. UK for spending some time with us and teaching us a little British culture.
And serial killers.
And serial killers. Be sure to check out all our links. You can find us... most of the links are on emztradio.podbean.com. The links are on the left side of all our band friends and our horror friends. And in the show notes, we'll have all the links to get one of our t-shirts.
Please buy a t-shirt. They're really freaking cool. Like, I'm not a t-shirt wearing kind of person, but I mean...
But she bought the hoodie.
I bought the hoodie. They're flipping cool, and
Yeah.
every little bit does kind of like...
It helps the podcast because
it does.
It goes to the podcast where we can buy more music. We can hopefully get enough money to buy new podcasting gear. new software for recording, things like that. It goes back to the podcast, not in our pockets, at least not yet. Yeah, we have a couple of designs. We have the EMZT logo, and also the one that MJ is pretty proud of about Keep Your Pleasure Room, Mr. Gray.
And the thing about it, the quality is they're not like cheapo. Like, they're not thin and they're not...
Yeah, they're not shitty quality is what she's trying to say.
Basically.
They're not shitty quality. They are nice
They're
t-shirts.
worth it. They're
really worth it, and it would help us out a lot. We also have links. We're on Facebook. We have YouTube. We have Patreon. Maker support.
Share the Facebook page if you can. Share everybody.
Share, but also give a little if you can. And all the descriptions will be in the show notes and the Podbean page. And we hope that MJ stays safe during this horrific hurricane season, which there was fake news posted on his page about the hurricane had sharks in it.
Oh, jeez.
Sharkicane!
That's gonna be the next flipping thing.
Sharkicane. Sharknado still goes on.
Oh my gosh, stop.
It goes from a Sharknado to a Sharkicane.
Stop it. Oh my gosh. That's horrible.
And there are new horror movies out. Slender Man's been out for a couple of weeks. We finally got it in town. The Nun has come out. We haven't seen that yet, but it's spooky as hell from what I was told. Scary. There's new horror coming up. Go check it out. And
stay creepy, friends.
And we'll see you next time. And stay tuned for another episode of EMZT Radio.
Come, let your ears bleed.